Thank you for double-clicking your mouse tonight. You're listening to the Midnight Frightcast in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Midnight Frightcast. This is episode number 74. I am your host, Greg, the movie guy, the doctor of filmonomics. Across from me, we have the other guy in the room, the guy who likes to watch.
Well, you have to start over. This doesn't seem as genuine.
No, it doesn't, but Patrick's making a start over. So now he has two he can choose from.
Yeah, hey, I'm the other guy in the room. It's me. Hey,
it's
genuine.
Josh.
Go.
The guy who
And
likes to watch.
to my left is the doctor of everything else, Captain Patrick.
Captain Patrick. Hey, everybody, how's it going?
You don't want me to call you the other word.
You know, that's exactly right.
We are here. It is episode number 74. We are rocking and rolling. We're going to kick right into the trailer that we watched for this evening. Was can you call it a remake, or is it just like the next episode in the series?
It's another episode because it says a new chapter in the Book of Saw.
The new episode. So we'll call it the next chapter in the Book of Saw. It is Spiral.
Yeah.
What did we think of Spiral?
Well, I mean, I haven't hidden the fact that I'm a really big fan of the Saw franchise. I didn't love Jigsaw. I mean, there's a handful of them. You don't go to the Saw movies anymore, or after the first Saw, you didn't go to those anymore for the story in the movie. You're like, all right, how can
who's going to die
kill these
and
motherfuckers?
how?
Yeah, so seeing Spiral is the first time I've seen a Saw movie in a while where I'm kind of curious what Chris Rock has done with a new story.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of cool. Because, you're watching it and it doesn't look like, usually they show a Saw trailer and they show a bunch of setups for kills, but they don't show the actual kill. They didn't really do any of that for this one at all.
I think there was only one time you saw some sort of contraption.
Yeah. It was quick.
Yeah, very quick.
It was really, really fast. And there's some really cool, little throwback pieces in the trailer that goes back to the original Saw as well, which I thought was really cool, which again makes me go, okay, is this starting over, or is this
the continuation?
A continuation. It's got to be without Jigsaw, based off of the Jigsaw movie. So I'm definitely fucking gonna go. I'll be really interested to see how they weave this into the other Saw movies.
Sure.
And I also wonder if Chris Rock is if it's going to be a one-off, or if he's such a big fan of the franchise, he's going to want to try to keep it alive. Going.
Yeah.
So.
Probably going to be based on the success of this movie.
Right.
If it makes money or not. Yeah, I was watching it, and it was interesting to see what they used from the old movies.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the clip there, it showed him
with
handcuffed
the
to the pipe,
hacksaw.
with a hacksaw in his hand.
Yeah.
Obviously, they're using the same symbol that they've used. But you did point out and showed us a picture that the puppet looks different.
It's completely different. It looks terrible.
They showed it for less than a second.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't know what the premise of that is. Maybe that's not really Billy or not.
Right. Yeah, you're right.
And maybe we're at some sort of copycat thing. It kind of leaves itself open for a lot of opportunities to do some good stuff with this. It seemed to have more of a thriller feel to it than the other, I don't want to say the first movie, but everything subsequent after that.
I was going to say, the first movie had a real thriller feel to it until you got into the contraptions and the games that they played.
Well, and they didn't even really show that first Saw movie. There was not a lot of traps and contraptions. They spent a ton of time
just in that one room, just in that bathroom.
And they broke out of that room a couple times to show a couple of traps. There was a guy that had to crawl across the razor wire,
right? Stuff
like that. But they mainly stuck in that room, and it was about those two characters. Yeah, it's got that same feel, it's going to focus on these characters and this case.
Mm-hmm.
So it could end up being probably one of the better Saw movies since the original Saw movie, because you can't put out a Saw movie without showing some traps. You got to show something, but I hope they don't overdo it.
And it looked like it had some production value to it.
Oh,
true.
Yeah.
Very true.
I mean, if you got Chris Rock and Samuel Jackson behind the project, you would think that it would definitely have some production value.
Right. It was that guy from Handmaid's Tale, and I don't know his name, but he was only in that very first clip, and then he was gone. So I also wonder how big of a role he's going to play in this.
Yeah.
So I think he's good, though.
Yeah, I
So-
like him in Handmaid's Tale.
So yeah,
Greg?
I'll be intrigued to check it out. I'm taking that thought with a grain of salt because I know that it could tip the other way really quickly. And I'm interested most of all to see what Chris Rock does in his role. Traditionally a comedic actor stepping into horror could be interesting. I feel like he's got the chops that he could pull it off. I don't see any reason why it couldn't be good. Mm-hmm. It goes back to kind of our thoughts on what they're doing in the Hollywood and the studios right now is they're just continually remaking stuff that has already been remade. The horse has been dead. Why do you keep resurrecting it?
right.
And that's always going to sit in the back of my mind until they decide they can start making some new stuff or try different things.
Right.
And so I might go and see it, but I'm going to go in again with a grain of salt.
Right.
Taking
I
it
mean,
with a grain of
do you
salt.
have a different mentality about it if it's not a remake and it's not a reboot, but it's a continuation of a story?
I mean, then you're throwing it into the sequel game, which is no different than a reboot or a remake.
Okay.
I mean, how many sequels did the original Saw come out with? Was it like 5 or 6, not
was-
including Jigsaw?
It was 9. It was 8 or 9. Yeah.
Okay, then
It was a lot.
It was a lot.
They did a lot.
That
They
kind of
did a
stands
few
my
of them,
point.
so.
Then if you're going to throw what could have been a really good series around and
Right.
throw it into the trash like that,
But in fairness, it was a like those movies had it was about the traps and everything, but it was about Jigsaw
right?
and his story through all those movies and what ultimately ends up happening to him and why he's doing this in the first place. So every time they brought out a new movie, you learned something different about him and his story. So
Right, which is what kept the interest of those. And I think I made it all the way up through Saw 5 because he was dead and still doing traps from beyond the grave in that point,
Spoiler.
wasn't he?
yeah.
I
Okay.
think those movies have been around long enough.
But he was dead in that one, wasn't he?
He eventually died. Yeah, Amanda took his spot.
Right.
So yeah.
Right. So I think
Spoiler.
it got to that it got to that point where it's like, okay, yeah, his story became a lot more interesting than seeing the creativity of the kills and the traps and all
Right.
that. And that's what kind of kept me going. But once it hit 5, it's like, okay, this is getting pretty repetitive. So, why 4 more movies, including Jigsaw on top of that, and now we've got the next chapter.
Right.
What are they going to do that's going to to here?
I hope they completely do something completely
I
different.
do
So,
too. And, it freaks me out a little bit that they're going back to the hacksaw and the handcuff to a chain pipe and
hopefully some reverse bear traps. Those
hopefully
are the
some
shit.
reverse bear traps or the, I think one of my favorite was the shotgun shell necklace. I think it was from 3 or 4.
Okay.
That could be a topic all on its
Right.
own. Favorite
Yeah.
saw kills.
Right.
So I'll probably go and see it, but I'll take it with a grain of salt.
Do we have a release date?
May 15th.
Okay,
I
cool.
know it was May. That's right.
Yeah, I'll take
All
that
right.
to. I'll take Elizabeth to that for her birthday.
Yay, she'll love you
She'll
for
be
that.
so happy about it.
All right, let's keep it rocking and rolling. And hey, Patrick.
Yes, Greg.
It's the news.
News.
Maddie, are you there?
She's
Maddie?
not there. No.
Help me!
not
You're
there
all
to- she's
alone,
not there to
sir.
save you.
You are all alone. Who's
on
got
a
news they
boat.
want to talk about?
From the Hook entertainment news site, it's been reported that Stranger Things is set to end with season 4, and that it is rumored to be split into 2 separate parts.
That's gonna make my heart cry.
So
But it's going to end?
No, that is gonna be split into 2 parts.
Yeah,
and released separately.
They didn't really explain how it was going to be split into 2 separate parts, and I could not verify that either.
okay, so it's
But that's why I'm saying it's being reported by the Hook Entertainment website, news website.
because when they say that, it sounds like it's like part 1, part 2, and then done. Not necessarily like
right.
episodic 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or 1, 2, 3, or however many. Take a break, and then 4, 5, 6, or however many to finish off the series.
Yeah, do not know.
Interesting.
Like I said, I've not been able to verify from any other news source that it's being split into 2 parts. However, I seen on multiple websites that season 4 is the last season.
I have
yes.
seen that as well,
Yes.
which that makes my heart hurt. But you know,
it doesn't. I mean, with the rate
it.
that they're filming these compared to how fast these kids are growing up, I mean,
they're going to lose them quick.
right? It's going to be saved by the Bell College years.
And a lot of those kids have, I mean, they're all moving on to other projects too.
I'm surprised they've got
So-
Finn Wolford. He's so busy.
Yeah.
that I don't see how they can keep him in there.
So I mean, they're all doing,
Tons of stuff.
yeah.
I'm glad that they're not like milking the series. You know, I'm glad that they've said season 4 is it.
Yeah, but if it ended on the note of season 3, and if it was just done, that was a note that me personally, would have been happy to go out on. It was like that season 3 ending. I just don't know if they're going to be able to top that and make it as like kind of as heartfelt as season 3 was.
Oh yeah.
Kick you right in the feels. I just don't know if season 4 can come back and do that again.
I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt because they've held us this long, and after what they did in season 3, I feel like they can. I mean, if they know this is their last season, there's nothing holding them back from doing anything.
Yeah.
Hopefully, they can finish it off by just killing off Winona Ryder, episode 1.
Oh my God.
Oh, Patrick. All right. You had 2 pieces of
I've got
news?
another one. We can come back to it if you guys have one.
I'm going to do 2 little, like, tiny little blurbs.
Go for it.
So the first reactions for Halloween Kills have come out. The audience reactions for, like, all their test screenings, super fucking positive. Really, really positive.
Okay.
Everybody's, like, loving it. They're saying Michael Myers is, like, more brutal than they've ever seen him before. They said he moves a lot more like the Shape in Halloween, the original Halloween. A lot of returning characters that people are loving to see come back. Some new characters, and it's a nice little mix of characters from the original Halloween and the characters that were introduced in Halloween 2018. So you guys know my feeling on
You'll be there.
2018.
Well,
and
he'll
how
be there
much
regardless.
I crapped on it, but this isn't like reviews coming from a studio. It's, a test audience, and a test audience of what I would guess they put in fans of the series in there. And if I'm getting positive reviews from that kind of spot, I am excited to go see Halloween Kills. So we'll see.
We'll see.
So
We'll see. I say Halloween 2018 left kind of a razor burn.
right.
So we'll see what happens. Will Paul Rudd be coming back?
No, Anthony Michael Hall is playing Tommy Doyle.
Yep.
I'm actually okay with that.
So yes,
I'm okay with that.
Which Paul Rudd was very cool and positive about that casting.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. He was doing Ghostbusters, so he couldn't.
He was way too busy. Yeah.
That was it for that one.
Okay. So my one piece is a reboot.
I like you in a one piece.
I like me in a one piece too.
Ooh.
Keeps things
I'm
pushed
curious.
together.
Pushed together.
I get this picture of Borat in his one piece.
Screen Gems has hired What Keeps You Alive writer-director Colin Minahan to take the helm of their urban legend reboot. Another reboot. Another reboot. But it seems fitting because we're going to be talking reboots a lot
I
today.
was gonna say I feel like we're burying our topic right now.
Yeah.
Like we picked a really shitty topic, and now we're gonna just shit on it before we get to
We're
the
going
topic.
to own it.
So, yeah.
We are going to own it. So
We're going to eat our own shit.
Yes.
I was a fan of Urban Legend, actually.
Really?
Before I really got into horror movies, that was one of the first ones that I remember seeing that I really liked.
Yeah, Urban Legend came out around the same exact time as like Scream and Final Destination. It was that
Teen Scream
yeah, very much so.
era. I'll be interested to see what they do with it. I believe, I'm not going to say that because I'm going to be wrong. I thought it was a PG-13 movie, which is the only way that I was able to watch it. But Urban Legend came out in 98, so I would have been 15.
Yeah.
14, 15 in 98. So, Jared Leto was in that.
Yes, he
Completely
was.
forgot about that. I'll be interested to see what they do with that and see. Oh, that's what I was going to look up. It was
it
rated R. Yep, rated R.
So how'd you get to see it as age 15?
It came out on video, and I think somebody of
Just
age
rented
rented
it
it.
for you.
And yeah, because Blockbuster didn't really watch close on how old people were when they rented stuff. I'll be interested to see what they do with it. I really liked the original one. I think that they have opportunities to go dark with this.
Yeah, I mean, they can either go and be super brutal and done right in like super rated R, or
shot for shot
they
remake.
could give it to Blumhouse and they can be PG-13, whatever.
Yeah, and kick you in the balls. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Urban Legend being remade.
Bloody Disgusting has done a bit of research and is now reporting that although he has killed a lot of people on screen, that Danny Trejo has now surpassed Christopher Lee as the most killed actor in Hollywood. He has been killed 65 times, beating Lee by 5. Lee has only 60 kills.
I didn't even realize Danny Trejo has been in that many movies.
He's been in a ton.
Wow.
When you look at all the B-budget horror films and
yeah, that's true.
grindhouse films, yeah, he's been in a ton of movies, and he's obviously died a lot. 65 times.
Yeah, that's
insane.
crazy.
Yeah.
I wonder how that compares to Sean Bean, who has also died a lot.
He has
not
died
in
a lot,
horror
no,
movies.
but they said Danny Trejo is the most killed actor in Hollywood.
I feel bad for him. I like Danny Trejo.
I don't think they can kill
so.
Sean Bean anymore. I think
He doesn't take movies.
He won't take movies where he dies. Yeah.
Yep.
Rightfully so.
The last little blurb that I have was last night at the Oscars, as they went through the in memoriam, they
Yes,
skipped
Sid Haig.
Sid Haig was not in there.
Neither was Luke Perry.
He was not in there, and neither was Cameron Boyce. Those are 3 people that I saw on a list that were not in there, but for horror's sake, Sid Haig was completely passed over, which makes me if they can get somebody that died less than a week ago crammed in there, and I understand it was Kirk Douglas, so don't compare and shit on me or anything, but if they can get in there somebody that died less than a week ago and they can't get Sid Haig in there that died
months ago,
I mean, I don't understand how they pick and choose.
And Sid Haig was iconic in the horror industry.
But before that, he didn't make horror movies at all.
No, he
made
was
films,
legit. Yeah,
because Rob Zombie brought him back out of retirement, and made horror films because of that. But before that, he had a huge career.
Yeah,
that was not in horror, and that was very much a part of the Hollywood scene. And so you add an extra minute into your memoriam to put one more person in there. Like,
I would hate. Well, and the thing is, they doubled up on a lot of the screens,
right?
But there were still screens that had just one person. There was room to fit it in there without having to add more time. I would really hate to be the person that's in charge of those, because every year someone is left off.
Right.
And then they get shit on for it.
But is that them just not doing their research, or is that them saying, okay, you get this number, so now you have to stay within that number? And so if, you got to pick it, is Sid Haig more important than this
Bobby Franny, the costume designer?
Right.
And I don't think that it's that case. I mean, I'm going to assume that they just forgot. I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt.
Right.
Just because, there's a lot of people on there, and you got to go through and do your research and make sure that the research that you're doing is actually legitimate.
Right.
There's a lot of death hoaxes out there. And
right.
You don't know who's died.
Or are those people on the list people that have either been nominated or have won an Oscar? Mm-hmm. And that's how they pick and choose.
Oh, I never even thought about
that. Could be
list because
that they've been at least nominated.
Right. Mm-hmm. Been in the room even.
That could be. That interesting.
But it's still a shitty, way to kind of shit on an actor for putting in just as much time as the other person and not giving them their dues and their respect. So, but yeah, that was just something that I saw that came out that I thought would be fitting to.
Yeah, I did. I caught that as well, and it blew me away that those 3, or at least those 2, I'd never heard of the third guy, were forgotten.
Cameron Boyce, I only know because my children watch the Disney Channel, and he was big on that.
Okay,
some Disney Channel shows.
That's why I wouldn't have known him.
So,
all right.
Well, and I included Luke Perry to the discussion because of Buffy the Vampire Slayer when it comes to horror related.
Yes, yeah.
All right, that was that was the news.
News.
Run.
Well, let's roll on. We have been watching some stuff, or at least I have. I don't know about you guys, but what's everybody been watching up until this point?
Last night we watched the Oscars.
We did.
So that was kind of a fun good old grand time.
Yeah, how'd you guys do on that, by the way? On your ballots?
I threw mine out halfway through.
How did you guys do?
I think I finished with 13 or 14.
Okay.
I mean, not as good as a douchebag winner, but I mean...
That guy's such a dick.
What a bag of douche.
He's a...
He's a huge dick. He doesn't gloat at all, either.
No.
Don't say it, dude. I don't want to start over again.
Yeah, we don't want to start over, please.
Patrick can bleep me out. We haven't had any bleeps on this.
So in case you didn't pick it up, Patrick won the Oscar competition last night. It is his second year in 4 years. He tied 1 year.
Well, yeah, 2 years ago I won. Last year I tied, and then this year won again.
Right.
And this year's total was 20 out of 24.
Yeah, I thought it was 19.
I think it was 20. The end count, I think, was 20. Okay. I will have to double check. It may have been 19.
You might want to double check. I'm pretty sure it was 19.
Yeah, okay.
So we've been watching the Oscars moving along.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. So my watching has been nothing new. No new stuff. It's all been research watching. So I went through and rewatched the entire Hatchet series, which I love, by the way. Adam Green in the Hatchet series is just something that I am just down with. It took me a while to watch those, but like we haven't, usually my wife and I start a new TV show. She's been watching The Office. I have not been watching that, because fuck that show, but I hear a lot from her, how much she loves The Office. So good for her. Yeah. It's been a lot of just research watching. So nothing new here for me.
Okay.
Yes.
But you are now all caught up on Handmaid's Tale, though.
Yes, we completely finished that. I thought I talked about that last time. So
you did, but you didn't. You weren't quite done
we
with
finished
season
the
3.
Very last episode. It's fucking bonkers. What happened in that last episode, and we're very sad at the end of it because now we have to wait a few months before the new season comes out.
Okay. Patrick, what have you been watching?
I have been watching The Morning Show
on
your recommendation. I'm only 5 episodes in, but
you're ahead of us because I have to wait for my freaking wife to watch the damn episodes.
It's so good. It is so good. I like how they handle both sides of the Me Too movement on this whole thing. And then I was going to watch The Irishman on Netflix, and when I turned on Netflix, I saw that Lock and Key had dropped. So I started in on that. I'm about 3 episodes in on Lock and Key. There's some things I really, really like. There's some things I kind of go, meh.
How horror is that
It's
show?
more kind of supernatural.
Okay.
I would say it's probably a good bridge for people maybe wanting to dip their toes into horror. But it is
Starter
more...
pack?
It's pretty weak sauce for starter pack even.
Okay.
But maybe it's going to get darker as time goes on. But I got into it because I did not know that Joe Hill was Stephen King's son. Yes. And for me, being as big of a Stephen King fan, you think I would have known that.
Right.
So that was the reason. Because I knew the comic books well before the Netflix series.
Oh, gotcha. I didn't know it was a comic book series. So.
I didn't either.
Yeah. So that's what I've been watching.
Cool.
All right, boys, get ready for a sit because I've been watching some movies. So with the Oscars happening yesterday, I try every year to do my best to watch every Best Picture nomination possible. This year has been the best year out of all of my years watching them. I watched 8 of the 9 that were nominated, and most of them occurred this weekend. I was able to watch Marriage Story. I was able to slog through The Irishman. Mm-hmm. I went to the theaters on Saturday and I got to watch all the animated shorts. I got to watch Ford versus Ferrari, which was fan-friggin-tastic. Mm-hmm. Absolutely loved that movie. I got to watch Parasite, which was good. I don't know that I would call it a Best Picture movie.
Yeah, but people had a big problem with that.
It was good.
Yeah.
I'm not upset that it won.
Yeah.
Is what I can say about that. And then I also got to see Little Women, which definitely should not have been nominated for an Oscar Best Picture nomination. But
why do you say that?
I don't feel like the story was as good as some of the other ones. It won for costume design, which I 100% agree with. I thought it was done really well with there. The acting in it was exceptional. I did like that. Again, it was just the editing and the story really just didn't jive with me.
Gotcha.
So I don't know if I can say much more than that without like sticking a a foot in my mouth.
Mm-hmm.
But it was good for what it was.
Right.
So, and that's really about all that I've been watching. I'm sure I've seen more throughout the last couple of weeks, but we're going to go with that. So lots of Best Picture nominations.
Cool.
All right. We are going to rocket over to our topic, and we're going to wait for Josh to clear out his sinuses and
I'm good.
blow.
I'm so glad I came out the right end. Oh my God.
Turn around and
Yeah, it's close.
Josh, you came up with our topic for this evening.
I keep getting blamed for this shit.
Yes, you do. The mini penalty box. Why don't you talk about it?
See, I think that's why we hesitate to make any suggestions, because then we could just blame you.
Right. Like, oh, he'll come up with a shitty one. And then you go, oh, so since you came up with the topic, you explain our shitty topic.
Throw yourself under the bus, please.
Yeah, that's fine. So we, as much as we absolutely shit on remakes, like on a weekly basis, pretty sure we had a conversation not that long ago. Well, almost every podcast we're like, wow, they're making this shitty remake.
We did that like 5 minutes ago.
You're right. So welcome to this dumb topic. So I was like, well, it'd be a good topic. What are some movies that you'd like to see remade? Which is just a really stupid suggestion. But here's the thing. When it comes to remakes, the thing that we've kind of chatted about is they're remaking movies that were already kind of good.
That were already good.
And so if they're going to remake a movie, remake something that was just dog shit the first time out. And now I'm going to say my list and like they're not shitty, but remake something that was dog crap the first time out and make it better. So that's why I suggested that we should talk about films that you would like to see remade.
Movies that were okay with being remade for whatever various reason.
Right.
Okay.
So
More so along the lines of redemption than cash cows.
Well, because sometimes it falls along the lines of they made a movie before they thought, how do I put this? They made the movie before the technology was there to make it worth making the movie.
right. Like I said, I have some movies on my list that are absolutely phenomenal fucking movies, but I'd love to see what they can do with it today.
Yeah.
So do we talk about our movie and give the reason why we'd like to see it remade?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay, well then don't fucking start with me. Because I got no reason.
Well, you were talking about some reasons earlier, like one of your favorite movies that you said that you wouldn't mind being remade.
Oh,
and
yeah.
And you had some reasons for that. I don't know
Either
if you want
way,
to throw that in the mix, but
don't fucking start with me. I've now thrown myself under the bus. I've gotten into the bus and driven over myself. Okay. So I don't need to back up and then drive back over myself again.
I'll fire first. So I've come across, I follow a lot of movie groups on Facebook, and there's one that's come up a couple of times that I feel like would be a really interesting concept. I know the version that I'm going to talk about was a remake from a movie that was remade or made many years ago. I think it was in the 60s or 70s. I'd have to go back and look. Was 13 Ghosts.
Oh, yeah.
oh yeah,
Tony Shalhoub and Matthew Lillard, I think, was in that one too.
Yep.
I've seen posts on Facebook that Netflix, should take the 13 Ghosts premise and turn it into an episodic series.
That'd be fantastic.
Where they take each ghost, give it the backstory of how it got to where it is, and then go from there.
Right.
I think that would be fantastic.
That'd be really great.
I would sit down and I would watch that.
Yeah.
I could totally see it done well that way. I don't know that I would like to see a remake of the movie.
No.
I didn't like the movie in the
loved
first
the
place.
movie.
Did you?
Yeah, I did. I thought I had a lot of fun with
I
it.
wasn't thrilled with it. And
So-
maybe, you know what? Maybe I should return to that movie with the idea of having fun with it.
Yeah, it wasn't
instead.
good, but it was a lot of fun.
Right.
It's
Exactly.
It's good up until the final scene. Mm-hmm. And then it gets kind of weird
With
and
that
hokey.
little reveal. Yeah.
Right.
Weird and hokey. But otherwise, leading up to it, where they're actually walking through the house and using the spirit glasses, I'm going to call them. It was I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it.
And I didn't even think the Matthew Lillard was bad casting at all.
Oh, no, not at all.
Yeah, great casting.
Not at all.
So,
Tony Shalhoub might have been, but that's neither here nor there.
right.
So, do you want to go now? Or should
I mean, I
Patrick go?
can. So the first film, right? Get ready. So the first film on my list was The Monster Squad, and it's all about like I love that movie. I love that movie, but it's all about the '80s nostalgia and what they could do with it today, coming off the It and Stranger Things and stuff like that. And there's a lot of talented kid actors right now that there's spots in that movie that I think can be done better now. And I know the whole Universal monster rights they couldn't get, so like they couldn't do a exact replica of Frankenstein and stuff like that.
But you could do some sort of monster put together. You could throw a vampire in there.
Right.
You could throw a werewolf in there. I mean, you could.
I mean, it was the Universal monsters without calling it the Universal monsters.
Right, exactly. But you could still replicate that pretty easily.
Yeah. So, like I said, I love that movie. I'd like to see what they could do kind of with it now. I think the story or the script was kind of weak. I didn't think it was like super well written, but I thought it was just a really fun, great starter pack movie. And like that's a film that I would show, and have shown my own kids. But yeah, with the kid actors today, and all the great options they have, I like to see what they could do with it now.
I'd be okay with seeing that remade just to see what they do with it.
Do you see it still geared towards kids or pushing it to PG-13?
I think it was PG-13 when it came out. I mean, here's the thing. If they made that movie rated R, I think it'd be rad as hell. And I'd still show my kids. I don't even care. But people have this thing with like showing kids die on screen. And I'm not sure they would do that. So, I mean, that movie has to live in that PG-13 space. It'd be a completely different movie if you made that movie rated R. So that's it.
Okay.
Mine goes to the first one that I would hearken to and remake is the 2014 Kevin Smith movie Tusk.
All right. What would you like to see done differently?
I'd like it to be made good.
Okay.
No, I
is that not really on your list?
No, it is not.
Oh my God, that was hilarious.
I love shitting on you for that movie.
It's all right.
But for the record, you know that I like that movie.
That's right. I just added it to my list, so I'll talk about it later.
Oh, you would like to?
Yeah. Well, we're just talking remakes, right? We're not talking sequels, are we? Damn,
No,
never mind.
no.
I'll scratch that off.
Wallace's Revenge.
Yeah.
No, the first one on my list, and I've talked about it on the cast before, and it has actually been talked about many, many times on trying to remake this film, because it hasn't really been a film. It's been a TV movie and a TV miniseries, and it's Stephen King's Salem's Lot.
Oh, okay.
And I would like to see it as an R-rated movie. I would like to see them really get into scaring the shit out of me with these vampires, because they're not standard vampires in the book. And while I did enjoy the 1970-something David Soul made-for-TV version, I just would love to see them make something rated R that's going to scare the crap out of me.
Right. Is it also about like, it would just overall look better today?
Definitely.
I mean, just with what we shoot with now, and, just if that movie was set in today, like contemporary, like today, like not in the 70s, but like, what does that movie look like in 2020?
Updated. Exactly.
Yeah. It'd be a completely different movie.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, they would have to take care of some issues with like, now we have cell phones that we can communicate much easier. That made things more difficult to get through that story if we didn't have modern technology.
Right.
But like I said, I would just like to see it updated, but most of all made into an R-rated movie that they can push the gore. They can push the boundaries on it.
Right.
And please don't cast Rob Lowe.
He
was in the miniseries.
Right.
It wasn't bad. It was just bad casting.
Right. Gotcha.
I like Rob Lowe as an actor. I don't like him in Stephen King stuff.
That's fair. So I'm going to kind of piggytail on that. Coatback
and Piggytail?
Piggytail. Not because it was bad, because I would like to see a rated R version of as close of an adaptation as you could get to The Shining. And I only say that because I'm reading through the book right now, and I'm absolutely in love with this book. I never expected to fall in love with the book, and I cannot put this thing down. It is so good.
Oh, wow.
It's in my top 5.
And one of the big things that I like to do, especially now since I'm actually reading books, is read through. I don't know how to read.
I read.
I read good. I like to use them as a comparison point. Like I just finished a couple months ago the first Game of Thrones, which followed along pretty closely to the story on the on HBO. There was a few things off that were here and there, but it wasn't anything substantial. I'm seeing a completely different movie in this book, and I would love to see what they do with a rated R version of this, close as an adaptation as you can get to that book. Not saying that Stanley Kubrick's version wasn't bad, but it was Stanley Kubrick presents Stephen King's The Shining.
Right.
And there were bits and pieces, but it is not the same.
Did you ever see the miniseries that they had on TV?
I was younger when I watched it.
Stephen, who played
It's the guy from Wings.
the
That's
guy
all
from
I know.
Wings.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I remember watching little bits and pieces, but I don't remember enough of it.
Gotcha.
They followed the story a lot closer, but still because it was made for TV.
It was made for TV, and that's why I don't even want to count that one. I want to see on-screen rated R. Like, I want to see this woman in the bathtub. I want to see how fucking creepy she could be.
I want to see the relationship between Jack and Danny.
Yep.
Completely missing from the Kubrick version of it. So then you don't feel sorry for Jack Nicholson because he does not have that relationship. He just goes batshit crazy from day one. I think there's only one small clip that shows his affection for his son. And in the book, that's what makes it a tragedy, is how he turns on his own son. Also the fact that, now I can't remember the character's name, but Scatman Crothers played him in...
Oh, shoot.
I can't think of the character name right now.
either.
But anyway,
Damn it.
in the book, he doesn't die right away.
Right.
In Kubrick's, he gets an axe in the back right when he walks in the building.
Yeah.
No, he helps him out. He's the hero. He's one of the heroes of it. And and then also being able to throw technology on it to actually get moving hedge animals, and the fucking maze is gone. There wasn't a maze in the book.
Oh, weird.
Yeah. So that would be mine. Not because Stanley Kubrick was bad, because I really enjoyed Stanley Kubrick's version, but I would want to see what they do, especially since they just came out with Dr. Sleep.
Right.
And they held as close to that as they could. I would think it'd be interesting to see that.
Yeah, because I don't think did they refer to the maze at all in Dr. Sleep? I don't remember that.
I don't recall it. I think they just went right into the building, and that's when everything went down. I think. It's been a while since I've seen it.
Yeah.
So.
Who are we to? Josh.
Oh, is it me? Okay. Yeah. So I actually think they're doing this right now. They're definitely talking about it. But I'm pretty sure there's something in the works right now for this remake anyway, but I'm going to throw it out anyway because I love this movie, and I'd like to see what they could do even with practical effects today with Gremlins.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure they're doing something right now with Gremlins. I don't think it's a remake or a reboot. I think it might be a continuation, but and I know they've talked doing it all practical effects. You know, even with CG now, and you know how much different they would look. I'm pretty sure they're still staying practical. And like I said, I love the Gremlins movie. Again, I would just like to see a lot of these are like I want to see what they can do with it now. I want to see what that story looks like in 2020. So, without having a huge long speech about why I want the movie to remade,
just to see how they would do it.
pretty much.
Sure.
So,
Yeah, there was talk about it in 2018 with Chris Columbus possibly, because he wrote it.
Did he?
He wrote the original Gremlins.
yeah, I just thought it was
that'd be
even more
good.
recent than that they've talked about doing it, but maybe not. So anyway, yeah, Gremlins is on thy list.
All right. Patrick.
Silent Hill. I liked the game. I found the movie boring.
Really?
Extremely boring.
Okay.
And I know that you liked it. It did nothing for me. And I mean, the creatures in it are really cool. It was slow moving. To me, it was a slow burner that just didn't entertain me. And knowing what the video game was like, I would like to see it redone.
Do you recall if Silent Hill was PG-13 or R?
Let me look that up.
Because I
as
feel
you
like
talk about it.
It could go either way. Just a couple of the scenes that were fairly graphic, I want to say it's R. I completely get where you're coming from. What I really appreciated about it is R?
It was R.
Interesting. What I really appreciated about it was their use of practical effects. They used visual effects. Obviously, they had to for a couple of the scenes, but the practical effects in there, I thought they did extremely well. What I liked about it was you kind of felt like you were walking through the video game.
I can see that.
I've played one version of Silent Hill. I want to go back and play that series just because I love survival horror games, and I'm trying to figure out where I can do that because I think they're all PlayStation, aren't they?
I couldn't tell you.
Okay.
I know they came out on PlayStation. I don't know if it's PlayStation only.
I think it was PlayStation exclusive because I've never seen them come out for Xbox or anything. But a lot of it felt like you were walking through the video game, and that's kind of what I appreciated about it most. Also, the fact Sean Bean didn't die in that one.
Okay.
Just throwing that out there. It was one of the better movies translated from video games, I felt. I could see where it definitely felt like it was a little bit more of a slow mover. Mm-hmm. And yes, I feel like they definitely could have ramped up a lot of things.
And maybe that's where the problem might lie in this movie, even with a reboot, is that it is a survival video game. So it does take a while to get to certain areas. And if they were trying to emulate that in the movie, they succeeded. Mm-hmm. But for a movie, you can't.
Movies and video games, yeah, they have to move a little quicker in movies than they do in video games. I completely get that. And that's perfectly fair. I would actually love to see a remake of that as well and just see if they can ramp up that horror aspect to it and really creep the hell out of your audience. Yeah, I can get on board with that. Okay. So another one has actually already been remade, but I feel like there's been enough time between the original, the remake, and now that we could get a version of it. That movie is Psycho.
Okay.
And the reason I want to see it remade is because I don't want a shot-for-shot fucking remake. I also don't want Vince Vaughn in it. Just saying. I feel like it was ruined. Like, I watched that. I remember watching that when I was younger, the Vince Vaughn version. And everybody was saying, oh, this is the scariest movie you're ever going to see. And I watched it, like, this is fucking stupid. So I want to see a remake of Psycho.
With the kid that played Norman Bates in Bates Motel.
Bates Motel.
I'd be okay with that.
I thought he was great. And he's got a good, he's got that Anthony Perkins look, too. Like, Vince Vaughn was too kind of rugged looking, I think, to play that part.
Yeah.
He didn't look like someone that would have been berated by his mother. And
No.
He's too tall. Yeah. Too big, too tall. I don't feel it.
Yeah. The shot-for-shot remake just didn't work because it's a different style of horror for that time. Alfred, Psycho scared the hell out of my parents. But me watching it, I went, there's nothing there. Mm-hmm. And then why do a shot for shot if you're not going to add more horror elements to it?
Well, why redo it at all?
Yeah.
If you're not going to put any change in it.
Right.
Yeah.
So if you're just going to update it, purely update, then don't do it.
Yeah.
I'd love to see a remake of The Lost Boys.
I was debating putting that on my list.
And again, I love the original Lost Boys, and the cast is great. But I think there's people that could be equally as good as those four kids in The Lost Boys. I think it could go darker. Mm-hmm. I don't know if it could be done without the Coreys. That would be my one hesitation is the Coreys for me made that movie.
Sure.
So it'd be tough.
Yeah. I don't know that I would want to see a remake of that movie.
No? Do you hold it too close to your heart, Patrick?
A little bit.
Really?
A little bit. I had the hugest crush on Jamie Gertz.
Oh, yeah.
At that time.
No, I got you. But I mean...
No, that in the movie in general, I don't know. I think it's a really solid movie.
Everything on my list is a fucking solid original movie. But you're saying because now that you'd like to see it updated with modern actors. Yeah, I mean, I'd like to see what they... I don't know. Everything, like I said, I put on my list is just stuff that I like to see what it would look like.
You're curious what it would be like, yeah.
So, another thing on my list is because I think it should actually be remade because I thought it was bad. Everything on my list is I'm just what would that look like today?
What would it be like? Okay.
So,
all right, Patrick.
Along that same line, and it's not that I want it remade because I know if I were to say, it was an awful movie and needs remade, I know that a lot of people would just line up to kick me in the nuts. But just to see what they could do with American Werewolf in London. It is a solid movie, and the practical effects that they had back then for the transformation with what they had to work with, I thought was phenomenal then. It would be interesting to see what they could do with it now.
It's like one of the best transformations ever shot on film.
It really is for practical effects. That's exactly right.
Yeah.
So.
But if they were to throw, that's why I'm saying this is like in the same vein of what you were saying. It's a solid fucking movie, but just to kind of see what they could do with it. Just being curious.
If they did that transformation today, they'd CG the shit out of that. I think.
Oh,
I don't think they do it practical.
Yeah, they would
at all.
not do it practical at all.
But what if they did do it practical?
Could
Could they match it with what they're able to do with stuff now?
It would be better.
Yeah,
but
it wouldn't be as impressive.
Probably not.
Right.
I don't think.
Probably not. But that's kind of true of any of these movies that we're saying can be remade. We're seeing what they can do now, and they've got technology that they don't have to do CG. They could do CG if they wanted to take the easy way out, which is going to make it look like garbage.
Right.
But if you did a practical version of the transformation with what they can do now, I think it'd be pretty cool.
Put Greg Nicotero in there, and it might be kind of cool.
Yeah,
he seems to be the guy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
cool. All right, I'm gonna lump my next two together because I want to see them remade for the exact same reason. Those two movies are King Kong and the Universal Mummy. Let me get to why.
Mm-hmm.
Are you done?
Mm-hmm.
I want to see them remade as actual horror movies. I want to see them remade as actual horror movies.
Okay.
They were both taken into the action adventure style. Not from their originals were horror, but you look at Peter Jackson's King Kong, you look at Kong Skull Island, you look at I don't remember who made the Mummy series with Brendan Fraser, but those went far from horror. Those were action adventure.
The original King Kong was action adventure.
Yeah,
I think so.
I think so.
Okay. They had it listed under horror.
And Peter,
I wouldn't have listed it as horror, but once again, audiences were different back then.
This is true. This is true. So
Peter Jackson's King Kong was the third time they did King Kong, and Peter Jackson's King Kong is one of my favorite fucking movies.
right, and I'm not saying that it's a bad movie. I enjoyed it.
So
I enjoyed it a lot. But I'm saying if you're gonna label an original as a horror movie, be it or take it as you will, I'd want to see what they would do with it as an actual horror movie.
Okay,
I don't think you need Brendan Fraser running in, gunslinging, and jumping into hot air balloons.
That I agree with. The Mummy thing, I 100% agree with.
That I think they could do some really cool things with those as actual horror remakes.
Yeah, there's really not many Mummy movies out there.
I mean, Tom Cruise just did one.
It's in the same vein.
Yeah.
Is it?
They were trying to when they did Dracula Untold, they were trying to do the whole MonsterVerse. And that was supposed to be one of the versions of the MonsterVerse.
Gotcha.
The Mummy version, and because Tom Cruise was in it, it flopped terribly. And
gotcha.
So, yeah, that's my thought on that. Let's do one more round so we're not.
Yep.
Yeah, because we're kind of running long.
Yep.
Yeah, I only have one more, and it's I just want to see what they would do with The Fly today.
Yep.
That's the last one on my list is The Fly. I love Gina Davis and Jeff Goldblum. I thought that was fucking killer. But again, what does that movie look like
Today.
now?
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
I think we're talking about like the effects part of most of these topics.
Right. Yeah.
Or most of these movies.
Right. So again, that movie was solid. So
the one I'm going to suggest is a little bit, I'd like to see them update the story, but most importantly, see what they do with the special effects and the creature effects, and that's Chud. I thought Chud had a good story behind it, that it had potential, but it just wasn't a great movie for me.
I've never seen that movie.
Chud, cannibalistic, humanoid, underground dwellers.
Nice. I never knew. I mean, I'd heard of it, but I didn't know what it stood for. So
Yeah, the creatures are pretty fakeish
bad.
looking. Yeah.
So
If they could update that, make the creatures just fucking scary as hell, I think it could be a good movie.
cool.
Okay. Should watch Chud sometime.
Chud.
Apparently, put Chud on the list.
Yeah, I've never seen it. All right. For my last one, I'm just going to encompass a lot of movies that I feel could be remade to be a lot better than they were. Not the example that I'm going to give. Stephen King movies that just kind of fell flat, I think would be a really, really good remake potential, just to see how they could make it better. One that I want to list, again, was not bad, but more along the lines of I just want to see what they would do with it, would be Children of the Corn.
Okay.
I think it'd be a fun remake. It could be interesting.
They made 6 or 7 of those. So I had Silver Bullet on my list. I took it off.
That was a weak sauce movie. That was.
I like Silver Bullet, but I'd like to see again it's a werewolf movie that they don't make werewolf movies anymore, really. So
Yeah.
what are they? Maybe there's a reason for that.
Well, I mean, Twilight.
Yeah.
Oh, I just thought that's a vampire movie.
There's werewolves in.
Gotcha.
Twilight.
I missed that series, so I didn't.
Yeah, sure you
Yeah.
did. I like how you were able to cover that up by just thinking it was all about vampires.
I really had no idea. Call me stupid, I guess. I did pick this topic after all.
You were Team Edward, obviously.
All right, let's keep it rolling. Let's hit the highlight here. We watched a movie for our review this evening. This movie was done by. Well, you know what? I'm going to let Patrick give you the deets. Patrick, hit us with the deets.
Well, before we hit the deets,
hit us with your about.
We want to talk about February is Women in Horror Month. And last year, once we added Maddie to the group, and she's unfortunately not here, so it's hard to talk about Women in Horror Month when we don't have a female representative with us. But we chose our movie based on Women in Horror Month, and let me talk a little bit about it. And this is taken directly from womeninhorrormonth.com. Women in Horror Month is a international grassroots initiative which encourages supporters to learn about and showcase the underrepresented work of women in the horror industries. Whether they are on the screen, behind the scenes, or contributing in their other various artistic ways, it is clear that women love, appreciate, and contribute to the horror genre. So I encourage people to go to the website, womeninhorrormonth.com, and learn more about what is being done to celebrate women in horror. I know that the Soska Sisters do a lot to support this website. They hold events all the time. They do blood drives, which is really cool, but more than anything to celebrate women in horror. And that's why I said it's kind of difficult for us three to sit here and have a sausage party and talk about women in horror.
Right.
And I say, Maddie, we miss you. And as we pick movies over the course of the year, we're not picking them because it was some dude that directed it or wrote it or because it stars some guy. So it's kind of weird when we get to this month that we're saying, okay, we're going to pick films based on the fact that it's a woman director, woman writer, and strong female leads. It's yes, we are doing that, but it's not because we're excluding it the rest of the year.
Right. And I feel like this, and I could be wrong. I didn't do any research on this. I'm just throwing it out there, but I feel like this genre is the most open to female filmmakers and writers as well. I don't know. Again, outside the genre, I don't know, and it's just because I don't know, like female filmmakers and other genres. Little Women was directed by a female that got snubbed at the Oscars, but I just don't know. But I know there's a ton of females in this genre that come out there and kick ass when it comes to making these types of films. So, like I said, if it's the most open genre that I know of to just female filmmakers. Yeah.
So in our upcoming podcast, what we plan on doing is what we did last year and have an all-female cast to talk about women in horror. So, with no further ado,
talk to us about Rabid.
We're going to talk to you about Rabid 2019, running an hour 47, available to rent on many streaming services. Horribly disfigured after a freak accident, doctors perform a radical medical procedure on an aspiring young fashion designer. But when the bandages come off, the side effects soon cause her to develop an insatiable appetite for human blood. IMDb rating 5.1, Metacritic score rating 43, Rotten Tomatoes critic score 54, Rotten Tomatoes audience score only a 36. So those are the ratings, and that's the deets.
All right. Somebody jump in. Talk about Rabid.
Like I said, this is the second time I watched it, so I kind of skimmed it today because I didn't watch it too long ago. So I was just kind of skimming through to watch get reminded of kind of the big points. I mean, you pointed out when you first got here how the Soska Sisters make good movies, but with terrible actors. And I semi-agree with you. I thought the lead of the film, I thought she was great. But yeah, then you get little turds in the punch bowl like Phil Brooks that just can't act.
I'm sorry, which one was Phil Brooks?
He played Billy. He was the guy that got eaten in the car.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
CM Punk for all you wrestling fans. But I enjoyed the film. I liked it a lot. I wish I have seen David Cronenberg's version just because I want to kind of see what is different from both versions.
I was looking forward to this one after watching American Mary.
Yeah, I thought American Mary was better.
I believe so as well. I don't know. Yes, good point about good movie with bad actors. But the person that I disliked the most, well, there's two of them. The doctor, I wasn't thrilled with his performance, and the fashion designer that was berating her all the time.
Oh, the German dude?
Yeah.
Or whatever he was.
Yeah.
Yes. He was actually in Grave Encounters, and I hated him for the same reason in that movie. I just thought he didn't ruin that movie for me. It would have been a really great movie if he was not in it.
Sure.
Do you feel he was just a little too over the top
Yes.
in it? Gotcha.
Yes.
And I think that's a good way to kind of describe what this movie was. Like, each character was just a little bit over the top of where they should have been.
Right.
You know, like the best friend was too best friendy.
I didn't think she was that bad either.
She wasn't bad. There was a couple times where it was just a little bit ridiculous. The supposed boyfriend was a little too gimmicky. It was a good movie. Like, and I'm I'm sitting here racking my brain and thinking, all I have are negative things to say about this. This is not good, because I did like the movie a lot. The low points that I had was, the doctor was kind of a tool. I felt like it was very predictable. I felt like it was formulaic.
Did you call that ending?
I didn't call the ending, but I kind of knew where it was headed.
Okay.
So,
Did you call the second ending?
no, that one I did not.
Okay.
I did not. No, you are correct. Okay, so that was not predictable. That one caught me off guard, and I'm glad that it did. Overall, it was a good movie. It was an enjoyable story. What they did really well was the gore and the horror in this. There were several times where I was watching this in a place I shouldn't have been watching this, where I was cringing. And that looks really weird in the place where I happen to be watching this.
Right.
So I did enjoy it. I'm not going to speak too much negative about it, because it was a good movie. There were just a few things that could have been a little bit better.
Okay.
And I agree with that. I think it was a good movie that was hindered by performances.
Yeah.
And the performances were by minor characters, but it was enough to have a major effect.
Right.
So what I really liked, I thought the lead actress, I thought she did a wonderful job. And she does have some chops. She's been in a ton of things. So she does carry some experience with her. So I was glad that they used her in that. The friend was okay, not great, but was good. It was the men in this movie that hurt the movie.
Interesting. You're right.
That it was the doctor. It was the
supposed boyfriend.
Right. It was the guy in the car. It was the
soap
fashion
opera
designer
and the fashion designer.
You know, the soap opera actor, I thought he did a really good job, though.
Yeah.
I felt. I mean, there was a little bit when he was.
He's
doing
only in 2 scenes.
He was
right, but I mean, to carry what he had to do,
right,
what they asked him to do, I thought he did a pretty good job with that. I thought the gore in it was really handled well. Lots of blood. Thank you. I appreciate that. There was some story issues, maybe just a little bit with who was turning rabid and who was turning almost into a monster at some points.
Right.
Right.
Do you feel like that scene in the hospital, everybody was turning like super quick?
Everybody was turning super quick after a little while. But there was a couple times where the guy that was, I don't want to give away too much, where she was collapsed in the alley and the 2 guys came and were taking pictures of her, and the one guy got killed by her.
Yeah.
And when Spoiler, when he came back to life, he wasn't just Rabid. He was something else.
He was full on something else. But he also, and this is going to be a spoiler portion, so I apologize if you don't want to hear this point.
Folks.
I want to talk about the giant tentacle penis that came out of her armpit.
That was in the original.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, so they carried that over.
They did carry that over. And I haven't seen the original, but I read that was in the original.
Over. Because he was the only one that got, I'm going to say it, fucked by the tentacle penis.
Right.
And that's kind of what turned him. Otherwise, everybody else was like bitten, slashed.
He wasn't the only one.
Who was the other one? Maybe I missed that part.
Spoiler. When she was trapped in the glass cage at the very end.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah, so there was 2 people.
I do remember that, but he never...
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're talking about in the alleyway outside the fashion show, right?
Was the first one. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, so he was the only one that really came back as whatever creature she turned him into. Otherwise, everybody else was bitten, slashed, or rabid, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
And that's why they turned into the rabid versions of themselves.
Right.
That lead character's like transition was really fun to watch too. How she was this kind of really quiet like almost nerdy character.
She took off her glasses and let her hair down, and then she started eating people.
Yeah, but like she took off her glasses and let her hair down, and she was completely different.
Right.
And it wasn't just her look, because she's
an actress, she did a good job of transforming that character.
But yeah, her whole attitude just completely changed in that back half. So it just made her a completely different character and person, just overall. And I thought that was a lot of fun to watch also.
Another thing that I wish the Soska Sisters wouldn't do is put themselves in their own movies.
Yeah.
They don't help themselves by doing that.
It's like an M. Night Shyamalan thing. It's like you end up going, okay, when are they going to show up? And I understand it's their project. They can do whatever the hell they want with it. But for me, it takes me out of the movie just a little bit.
Right.
Because all of a sudden, there's the Soska Sisters.
Has M. Night ever given himself an entire dialogue scene?
Yeah, he did in one of his movies. I think it was the, not The Happening, the other one that I hated.
The Village?
That one.
Oh, okay. Oh, really?
I think so. Didn't he?
I don't know.
Okay.
But I know that they just give themselves entire fucking scenes, and they're like a ton of dialogue, and they give themselves a whole scene in their movies.
Yeah. And like I said, it's not because they're bad actresses or anything like that. It just takes me out of the moment.
Gotcha.
Would it work better if they just made a brief appearance and not said anything? Like if they were scanning like the party and you just happened to see them sitting
Alfred
there.
Hitchcock would do?
Yeah.
Yes. You would just happen to see them sitting there and be like, there's Soska Sisters, we're moving on, instead of we're going to do some bumps in the bathroom and talk about how shitty this person is.
The doctor, her first doctor after the accident, and she got fixed up. She wanted, I want to see what I look like. They took the bandages off, and he's like, okay, hand her a mirror. And she looks, and she's horrified. He immediately says, I would strongly suggest staying away from mirrors for a while.
Yeah.
It's like, you fucking asshole.
Yeah.
You say, okay, here, you can look at it. Hand her a mirror. I'll give you a mirror.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, don't do that.
Don't do that. It's like, you douche. I wasn't, the surgical gowns made it seem like it was almost a cult.
Yeah, let's talk about that for a second, because that came in, the big bright red like surgical things was like you said, cult ritual, which was weird.
It seemed weird to me.
It was out of place, I feel.
Yeah.
Like you're staying along with a pretty I can make it's believable for me. But when you throw bright like blood red surgical gear on,
and it's satiny.
Yeah. That was strange.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because there was really no supernatural element to this film. It was all scientific, what was happening. So that kind of threw me off. I did like on some of the sound editing how when her stomach would start rumbling.
Oh, yeah.
That they threw in thunder.
Oh, I didn't catch
with
that.
It would be like rolling thunder. It was really kind of cool. I was listening with my headphones on, so I could really, really hear some of that deep bass in it. And I really like that.
That movie is weird. Like there's a whole new level of like creepy, gory grossness when you're listening to it with headphones on.
Yeah.
Especially when you get to the guttural groans and hearing all the ripping and the tearings.
You hear a lot of the visceral stuff, and it's just really nice. And I would say that the sound editing on this was really, really good.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Josh, you brought this up in another one of our films that we had watched earlier about it's kind of like werewolf scenario where you wake up not knowing what you did the night before.
Yeah.
Because it made me doubt some of the things that had happened, like the first man that she had met at the bar and went out into the hallway and was making out with. Did that happen because she woke up and she...
Well, it kind of fell along in the same lines with the pool scene, where you don't like you see her walking into the pool and then all of a sudden she wakes up and you're like, oh, okay, that was a dream.
So that one, and then the one in the hallway, and then there's another one later where she wakes up and she's checking her hands, there's no blood on it. So it always kept me wondering, was it a dream or did it happen but she doesn't remember anything until she wakes up?
So that doctor kind of did his job convincing not only her but audience what is real and what, because he kept telling her like, it's a hallucination.
Right.
It's the
and it was followed up with a really good hallucinogenic dream where, I don't know if you guys remember this scene, but like all the jittery nurses were working on her, and then
the Silent Hill nurses.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was the Silent Hill nurses.
Yep.
And then, then she woke up, or then she sat up and she was wearing the dress that eventually she had designed that she used later on. So yeah, I completely agree with you, Josh, that the Doctor had done a really good job of keeping us wondering.
From a production standpoint, sorry to jump in front of you, Patrick, if you got something here. There was a couple scenes in there towards the second third and the last third of the movie where there were points where the camera would like punch in on certain characters. I don't know if you caught that at all. It was like this really weird, like oversaturated, over stylized, just quick punch in really quick. And then the camera would move on. And I didn't know what you guys had thought about that.
They do it a
I don't
lot?
think I really
They
noticed
did it like 3 or 4 times.
I don't think I noticed it.
That might have been like
okay.
a style, just a style choice.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I'm wondering. Like, what was the purpose of it? Like,
Right.
Are you just doing this to highlight a certain character for something? And I don't think anything ever came to fruition with those characters. But it's like if you're going to do that, you're kind of putting a spotlight on these people. Like something important needs to happen with them.
Right.
So it was just weird for me.
I gotta say, I like the movie. Overall, I like the movie.
100%.
I agree.
Yeah.
But
I agree.
I think my biggest criticism is I didn't see anything new.
Yeah, I mean, you're right.
I would say there's a couple things new just because the armpit. I'd not seen that before in a movie. Had I seen the original, I would have seen it.
Right.
But I mean, I didn't really see anything new.
But new as in they don't have a lot of movies that deal with this topic, horror-wise. You know what I mean?
For me, when I mean new, is I didn't see anything new in how it was filmed,
Right.
in the effects,
Right. Yeah. No, I get you. Yeah, I got you.
It was one of those things where if you go back to when we watched Bliss, like I know I wasn't a huge fan of it, but there was a scene where the guy became the human Pez dispenser. And
yeah.
and
That was new.
You're sitting there and you're like, oh damn. Like that's stuff you don't expect. Like
Right.
you watch this and you're like, all right, it's kind of stuff that I've seen before. So I get what you're saying.
Well,
Yeah,
and like
for sure,
even
yeah.
in the hallucinogenic dream, we've seen that twitchy thing before. We've seen like when I don't know if he was a contortionist or not, but when he stood back
Right.
up,
Oh,
I've
right.
seen that before.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But I mean, they did a really good job with taking those elements and making a good movie with
Right.
it.
And, you know, they focused on a lot of gore and everything, but they also focused, I mean, this is very character and story driven.
Yep.
And, you know, very focused on that. Also, it wasn't just like a gore film.
Yep.
Like Bliss kind of was. It had, you know, there was.
The dialogue was much better than Bliss.
It
That's
was
for sure.
much better than Bliss. So, yeah.
That's all my notes.
Did you guys feel like it was like you were watching Raw again?
I did at one point.
A little bit.
Yeah, 100% thought at one point that it was had a very much of a raw feel to it.
That's
when she was in the kitchen and going through what she was eating there. That felt like Raw to me.
okay.
Yeah.
I got that
Very
sense
much
too.
so.
Let's jump into the rating scale. We do our fear/fun factor.
We should do fun.
I don't know.
Did anybody feel afraid watching this movie?
Absolutely not.
Then it's a fun factor.
Okay.
We do our gore score, and then we do our overall and would you recommend to a friend. Fun factor. Josh, what do you got?
Yeah, I had a lot of fun. So I'm 6'7". 6'7", I think is fair.
Okay, Patrick?
I completely agree with Josh. I had fun with this film, even the second time watching it. I originally watched this for my end of the year top 10. I was able to squeeze it in before the end of the year.
I think this was on my honorable mentions.
Yeah, it was on my honorable mentions as well. I had just as much fun Actually, I probably enjoyed it better the second time because I could pay attention to some other things that I didn't notice before. So I'm going to give it that 6.5, that between 6 and 7 as well.
I think 6 is a great score for this. So 6 on the fun factor. Gore score, Josh.
Yeah, again, probably 7. 7 is, I think, is fair. So
Lots of bloods, lots of open wounds, faces removed. I thought they did a pretty good job with this. So, yeah, I'd put it up 6, 7.
Makeup on this was done really well. I really liked when she did the first reveal on, and you got to see.
That face makeup was great.
It was done really, really well. Again, there's plenty of blood in this. Didn't lack on that. I'm going to give it an 8 just because of the armpit penis.
cool.
And
penis.
and also the last lady.
Oh, yeah, that was really cool.
I really liked that.
Oh, at the end there.
Yep.
Yep.
The
So I'm
doctor's
going to
wife.
give it an 8 for the gore score.
Cool.
And last but not least, overall, and would you recommend to a friend?
I'm going 8, and I'm saying I'm saying horror fan, non-horror fan. I think Rabid's safe. I wouldn't put it as a starter pack film, but I think it's safe to recommend to somebody that's strike that, take it back. It's a horror fan film. 8.
What's your hesitation? What were you going to go with?
Well, I mean, it's they're going, well, I think it's safe to recommend to somebody that's, outside of that genre. Mm-hmm. Then you're saying, okay, I'm recommending a starter pack, and it's not a starter pack film.
It is not a starter pack.
Yeah, I think it's a horror fan film.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Patrick.
A little bit lower than what Josh said. I think right in that 7.5 range. Would I recommend it to a friend? Again, agreeing with Josh, I would recommend it to a fan of horror. It's not a starter pack film. It is a good film. Not as good as American Mary. I would recommend American Mary before this one, but I think it's a very close second to American Mary.
Right. I think if you go through their list of films, that American Mary over all of them would probably be the first one that I would recommend.
Elevator's my favorite.
So,
oh no,
not a movie.
That was a bad
Close
choice.
enough. Oh, shut up! It wasn't that bad.
It was not good.
I'm going to agree with Patrick. I think 7 is a really good score, and for what it was, definitely recommend it if you want to watch a horror movie it's got the blood, it's got the gore, it's got some supernatural-ish type elements to it. I think it's a good horror movie. Don't take away the fact that there were some rough points in there. I think now that Patrick, you mentioned the males in this movie really kind of detract from that, actually boosts it. I feel it's an excellent pick for a Women in Horror Month movie. So I'm going to give it a 7.5. I'm going to bump it up a little bit. And yes, I would recommend to a friend.
Cool.
All right. Somebody lead. I got to set this up really quick before we jump into our thing.
Yeah, well, you don't have a plug anymore, Greg. No, I don't. So we can't lead with Patrick's plug.
No.
So not to sit here like an asshole. Hey, listen for the ladies, hopefully, that are coming on the cast next time. Hopefully, crossing fingers that we can get a couple
and try to get it done before the end of February.
Right. So listen for them, because you'll get a kick-ass cast, because I think when Dorothy came in and Heather came in and Maddie led that.
That was a great discussion. It was phenomenal.
Absolutely.
I had a lot of fun with that.
So, hey, we're doing plugs right now, right? I think this is a plug that we can do as a group.
Yeah,
100%
absolutely.
Every time, just because it's very much a group led.
It's a collaborative effort.
Yeah. So go ahead, Greg.
Hold on thought. Hi, friends. We're the Midnight Fright Cast. We're going to talk to you a little bit about the Flatwater Film Festival.
Hi, friends. I didn't know this was scripted, but now that I'm reading off the teleprompter, Greg would like me to talk about the Flatwater Film Festival. Cool.
Nice save, because I spelled it Fatwater.
So,
okay.
The Flatwater Film Festival is, without going in as long of a speech as I did last time, new festival that we all started back in October. Have been working pretty hard on getting everything that you have to do to get together for it. Nebraska-led film festival for Nebraska filmmakers. I feel like I'm fucking this one up.
We got to start over now.
See, I apologize.
I put my faith in you, Josh.
Hi, I told you I was going to mess it up. Hi, friends. We're here to talk about the Flatwater Film Festival. All right, this is going to go really well in the podcast.
Do you want to do your intro again there?
Hi, friends. We're the Midnight Fright Cast, and we're here to talk to you about the Flatwater Film Festival.
So the Flatwater Film Festival is somebody else go, please.
We are part of a team that has implemented a brand new film festival here for Nebraska. Hailing in Seward, it'll be at the Rivoli Theater, October 2nd through the 4th.
I'm supposed to be looking over here.
You can be if you want.
If you want to. We can see who's been in front of the camera and who's been behind the camera before.
We're putting out a lot of vibes, a lot of knowledge, or not even knowledge. What am I trying to say? Information. We're trying to put out as much information as we can to let you know about this Flatwater Film Festival. It's for Nebraskans, by Nebraskans. And if you've made a film in Nebraska, or you from Nebraska, submit your film to the Flatwater Film Festival. You can find all information on flatwaterfilmfestival.com. We're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all the social media sites. Most importantly, Film Freeway. You can submit right now if you wanted to. So this is just a quick reminder and just a quick notification that the Flatwater Film Festival is happening. We're super excited about it. We're making some great headway on making this thing happen, and we're doing it all for you guys out there. So make your films here in Nebraska and submit them.
We are accepting submissions at filmfreeway.com. Just make sure you look for Flatwater Film Festival there. We're accepting submissions until August 1st.
August 1st, yes.
And then announcing the lineup on September 1st. And the dates of the actual festival are October 2nd, 3rd, and 4th.
Yeah, and one of the cool thing is whether you're a seasoned filmmaker or you're a first-time filmmaker shooting something on your phone, this is the festival just for you guys to
Absolutely.
submit to. Doesn't matter what level you're at. We're screening, we're watching everything.
Absolutely.
It's a great opportunity to get together with, like Josh said, new filmmakers with established filmmakers to get together, share thoughts, share ideas, and most importantly, just celebrate who we are, Nebraska filmmakers.
This is the Midnight Frightcast celebrating and talking about the Flatwater Film Festival. Be there.
Thank you, friends.
Patrick, take us home.
Yes, if you're a fan of the Midnight Frightcast, and we know that you are, help us out. Make sure that you head on over to iTunes or whatever platform you're listening to us on, and make sure that you rate and review us. Also, you can catch us on any of the social platforms, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, others, I guess, that are out there. And then make sure that you check out our films at midnightfrightfilms.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, this has been episode number 74 of the Midnight Frightcast. We are getting close to 100, guys.
If we keep the pace, we're still not going to break.
We're
it
going
this
to break
year,
100
but
by
it's
this
going to
year.
be real close in the next year.
You know how many other people have started podcasts and can make it to 75 episodes?
And if you take into consideration that this was going on before you and I rebooted it.
Oh, yes. If you count the 37 or so before that, then you were well over
that have
100.
been lost
the
in
original
the archives.
Frightcast,
Yes.
Right.
it's still pretty amazing. I enjoy doing this. This is a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Getting together and just bullshitting on movies. So for myself, Greg the movie guy, Josh the other guy in the room who likes to watch, and Patrick the king of the
And the doctor of everything
Doctor of
else.
everything else. I was going to call you the king of the never mind, but
You can't say it.
we wish you all a pleasant evening, and we will catch you the next time. Stay tuned for that episode because it's going to be a good one. Later.
Duh, you fuck.
I wasn't kidding. Turn it